All right, you guys, you want to hear some cool stories? This is the episode for you. Welcome to Behind the Visual with Mark Hansen, the podcast where I interview all those people responsible for creating and putting together the videos and images you see out in your world every single day. I am your host, advertising and lifestyle photographer Mark Hansen, and today my guest is Wylie Moran. Wylie is a freelance art producer who has worked at BBDO, JWT, Martin Agency. She has done a lot of cool things, and she is giving up all the cool information, all the cool stories about a lot of her jobs, even from when she first started on a shoot with Faye Dunaway and what it's like to be on set and work with Faye Dunaway. We talk about a shoot she did in Spain that recreated the running of the bulls with for Smirnoff. Very cool story on that. How she got to the Olympics for free. The nicest celebrity she's worked with. A diva photographer that had to have her agent called down to set to do some things. So listen to that. How she ended up getting her portrait made by wonderful photographer Martin Scholler. And God, there's all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, that we talked about. So definitely check it out. What it's like to be at the big agencies compared to the small agencies, and just lots of cool stories about lots of cool shoots. So let me know what you guys think. Like it, thumbs up it, subscribe to it. Leave me a little note. I want to hear what you guys think. I think you're going to love this one. All right, let's start this thing a little bit, I guess. But
Okay.
so, how did you become a producer? First
Uh,
of all, because that is not something people just go to school
yeah.
for,
No.
or most people I don't think grow up going, I want to be an art producer or
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Never heard of it. It was funny. My mom was in advertising in Delaware on the account side.
Okay.
So I kind of grew up, knowing a little bit about it. But she's in a small agency, but her agency worked with BBDO in New
Wow.
York on DuPont, because DuPont's based in Delaware. So all of that was a little background. Long story short, after college, I went to LA, and then my first job was a stylist assistant, wardrobe stylist
What was your major
assistant,
in college?
fashion merchandise and business. It was like dumb. I thought I wanted to be a buyer, like go on
Yeah.
that side of it.
That's what my wife wanted to do. She was
Oh,
going to go to a little local community college to be a fashion buyer,
uh-huh.
fashion merchandising. And
Yep.
her teacher in high school, one of her teachers, like, no, you're not. You are not, because nobody in her family had gone to college.
Okay.
So the teacher's like, that's not happening. She's like, well,
Yeah.
I can go to Atlanta. She's like, no, you're going to go to school for real and get a real degree. You're not going to go get a 2-year associate fashion merchandising degree.
Yeah.
And thank God. I mean, she's very happy that she didn't do that, but
Yeah.
she thought that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah. I don't even know where I got in my head, except that I like shopping, and I don't really think I understood the job. And so that was my thought process in college. But Arizona State was also a lot of business classes. So it's just
Yeah.
like, it's really a business degree. So it's like,
I
that's a
can see the
solid.
two of those things coming together,
Yeah.
working.
So that was that. And then moved to LA. I got a job as a wardrobe assistant on photo shoots, which I didn't even know it. It was all friends of friends. And but it was like for People magazine and Us magazine. So it's like
Oh,
big,
yeah.
heavy hitters. But my boss, the stylist, was crazy. She's still in the business, very well known out there. But I didn't know at the time, but it was fun. Like, I was paid to shop, and out there, like at the time, this is 91. You would like go into studio services in Beverly Hills and be like, I want this, and they just write it up and you just like walk out. I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
So that
So
was
what made
it.
you
But
go
I
to
like,
LA and not
yeah,
back home? What made
uh,
you decide when you graduated to go to LA?
my, this is going to sound so silly. In school in Arizona, to fly from LA. I had friends my best friend dropped out of school in LA. Her boyfriend wanted to be an actor. He moved to LA, so she moved to LA. at the time, believe it or not, to fly from Phoenix to LA was $19 each way.
Wow.
So I was like going to LA all the time because it was so cheap. This is when like Southwest just started. Like
it sounds like a Southwest kind of.
Yeah. So I would go out there on the weekends being like, la da, like so cool. And so I kind of I was like, maybe I should check out LA. So I was all ready to go to New York after college. Like I had interviewed with Tiffany's and I was going to go work there.
Oh, wow.
And then my friends were like, just come to LA. It's going to be funner. So I was like, okay. So I literally canceled that, had no job, but they're like, you'll figure it out. Moved to LA, met this woman through my friends and she hired me and that was my job. But I ended up hating it. I hated LA. I was there for almost 2 years. The riots happened. I was like, this is all like, no. It was all very fake and stupid. And I was like, I want to go to New York. So, but I liked being on that set environment, the photo shoot stuff. I just didn't like being the bitch of like,
right,
in the corner, like steaming sweaters. And this woman like owes me thousands of dollars. And she's like all hugging on the celebrities, like, ah, la, la, la. And then she's like buying like cashmere sweater sets off the set for herself. Meanwhile, she owes me like tons of money. And I'm like 21 years old. I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I hate all of it. It was
did you do any, did you get to be on any cool shoots at least?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I mean, the best one was with Faye Dunaway.
Really?
Yes. And we were shooting at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and which is cool. And it was for Us magazine, I think. And so we're like setting up early and setting all the clothes up, and she's like an hour late already, and we're like, okay. We knew that she was gonna be late, and we were still like, it's like Faye Dunaway. Right. And she gets there and she's super nice and like hair and makeup and like very talky, and we're showing her we're gonna go on the roof and we're gonna do this and that. And she's all excited. And then like somebody said something to her, and like it was just like this immediate change of just like, like just being so mean and bitchy and nasty. And we were just like, and we were all like, why are hangers in the background? Like she's kind of crazy. Like she was yelling at us. That was what it was. She's yelling at us that it was taking so long and why is this so late? And we were like, oh, like you're like an hour and a half late, bitch. Like now we're like literally just like night and day of just like crazy and then super nice and like it was like bipolar, and we were all just like, ooh.
Wow.
But
you remember who shot it?
Huh?
You remember who shot it?
I was trying to think. At that time, I wasn't even paying attention to the photographers. But I know, like, I worked on some Greg Gorman shoots. I don't even remember.
That's all right.
Yeah, like Patrick Swayze, he was actually the nicest. Like,
really? That's
all the celebrities, just a good guy, and like that was a cool shoot. It was like out in the middle of the desert, and there were like horses and stuff. But it was a fun first job, like just to be. I didn't really. The celebrities were kind of like, Yeah. But it was fun to be in that environment, and that's what I liked about it. So fast forward to New York, I moved there in like 93, and my mom got me an opening at BBDO to like talk to someone over there, and I was like, okay. Still being like, my parents are helping me and I don't really want it. Meanwhile, your parents, people who you know is all about it. We all have learned that lesson.
Yeah, I tell everybody.
Every job I've ever gotten has been through someone I know. And well, you get the job, but to get in the door, always somebody I know.
That's what I tell everybody. I say, everybody says, oh, it's who you know. It's like, it's not really who you know. It's who you know, who knows you and who likes you.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I know people, but I'm not shooting for, Tiffany's,
Right.
But yeah.
It's so true. But I remember being younger and being like poo-pooing that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously you get older and you realize, well, one, it makes sense. Like if someone's going to kind of reco you, like, oh, I've met Mark, he's a good guy. Like I got a good vibe off of him. Like he'll be good. Versus like, don't touch that dude.
Uh-huh.
Goes a long way. But so I thought I wanted to be on account services because that's all I ever knew about advertising. So the thing about BBDO, which was really cool at the time, they had an in-house floater program. That's how big they were. It was, they were huge.
Yeah.
And so they were like, it was 7 floors. And I was just thinking account services. They're like, well, if you be an in-house like temp, basically we just put you wherever we need somebody. And you could be like a week, it could be like a day. And I was like, cool. So actually it was the best thing ever. I did it for a year and I worked in every department and I met everybody. So I knew everybody. Not knew them, but at least I knew who they were. And I came across art buying one day and they needed like a secretary to like fill in for them. And Andrea Kay, do you know Andrea Kay?
Yeah.
She's like my mentor. Love her.
Ah.
She was there and I was like, art buying, what's this whole thing about? And so the only reason I figured out later, my mom's agency was so small that, you know, it's really only at big agencies. And it really wasn't even a job for a while. It was kind of created because art directors were negotiating with photographers being like, oh yeah, that sounds good. 10 grand. Yeah.
Right.
Like, why would you be doing that? So, but yeah, I think that floater program was awesome just because I learned about a lot of departments I just didn't know about. And I did work in account services at first and I hated it. I was just like, I don't want to be that person with the client and being like, it's going to be awesome. Like, I'm not that's not in my nature to be like, it's all good. Like, as a producer I am, but like making you feel better and your clients, like, you go do that. I'm not. That'd be the constant argument with my mom. If anything went bad on the shoot, she'd be like, well, what? I mean, I'd be like, the clients are just being jerks. And like, you know, they wanted all this stuff. Well, what do you mean they were being jerks? Like always like siding with the client. Like, you don't even know, like, stop it. Like, get out of here. Just laughing. But
so if it does go bad with the account services, would your mom, like if it did go bad and it was on the client's fault, would your mom go over and try and smooth the client out and let them know that it was their fault? Or would your mom just still take up for the client?
See, now that's the difference of a good account person, because we've all seen good and bad ones. In my opinion, a good account person would go over there and kind of like explain it like, you're asking for all this and now we're going to go into overtime and you don't want to pay it, but you want the, you know, kind of versus like, well, I'm just going to take the client side and just be like, I thought we were a team here. Like, what? We've all been there. And I really think actually in a job or a shoot or anything, a strong account person that has the balls to go back to an account or a client and not say whether they're wrong or right. It's just in any situation of just being honest with them, whether they want to hear it or not. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with account people. They're just like, well, I can't tell them that, or like, I don't want to do that. And like, it's like, I think they'd actually want to hear the truth of you being honest and how bad it is. Like, I'd walk away and be like, you know what? At least they're like not trying to like hide shit or whatever the situation is. Just over and over again, that has been an observation of mine of just how much easier it makes when you have a good account person that's not afraid to deal with bad things, which are going to happen. Part of your job. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I would feel like the majority of account people, unfortunately, they just kind of want to make it better and side with the client more than the agency. And then that you get it all figured out. But it's just like things would have been easier if everyone's just like owning whatever.
I'll volunteer sometimes. I'm like, I'll go tell them.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to tell them, I'm totally fine with that. I will go in and explain to them exactly what's going on and why this is happening or whatever, and we can work it out.
Explain the situation, not just like throw a hammer and be like, that's that. Just be like, this is what's happening. This is why. Like, make them understand it. Don't just like throw it out and be like, this is your fault. Like, or like, I don't want to have that conversation because they're going to yell at me. It's like, well, so it's going to be 2 minutes. Like, we have to have it. Yeah. So do it. Or I'll do it. Like,
explain it to them. Yeah. You don't go, hey, because of you, this is what's happening. If you just go up and say, listen, this is what's going on. Yeah.
All in the way you deliver it of like, let's have a chat.
But I think there's some people who can do that and some that can't. I worked with a guy that I would joke with clients and I'm very sarcastic a lot of times and would do things. Well, then this dude would come in and try and do it the same thing, but he didn't have the same kind of delivery or whatever. And instead of coming off as, oh, that's funny, it came off as, oh, you're an ass.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's assisted me a lot. That dude can say the crudest, most unbelievable things straight to like the preacher, and the preacher will laugh. So if you got like the most conservative person on set, he can literally go up there and say God knows what, and they will laugh about it. And I just go, I would never try and say that, but he can pull it off, and it's
Yep.
amazing.
So true.
Yeah, so I think you got to know your delivery is a huge, huge part of that.
Yes. So true. Yeah.
So
So,
you did you hated the account side.
yep.
So now you're over there at BBDO,
Yeah.
and you're digging the art producer.
Yeah. What was great was that is a big department at that time. There was like 6 or 7 of them, and a secretary, an assistant with a typewriter. It's like right when the computers were coming in. I'm aging myself. I mean, they
Oh,
were
yeah, I'm
there.
with
They
you.
were like little tiny. I typed everything, POs. But what was great about Andrea was, because I really didn't know, I kind of had a gist of what the job was, that I just really didn't understand that there were producers for TV and there were producers for print. I just didn't understand that, but I did. And so she would let me sit in her office and just listen to her talk to photographers, everybody. Like, she's like, just sit here and listen. And she said, just about like from start to finish. She's like, okay, here's what we gotta do. We gotta find food photographer. She's like, I want you to go. This is when we would get a lot of promo pieces, and she would have files. And she's like, I want you to go and pick out who you think would be right for this based on the layout, like food photographers. I'm like, I've never done this before. And so it was like a test. And I was like, oh yeah. So whatever, I would pick them out, and she would say, this is good, this is bad. And so she would just, for each kind of job, like start with that. And then it would come to the numbers and hearing like, okay, they want to do a 4-day shoot and like this and that and expenses. And just, I would sit and listen to her every day. And then, you get to, I finally got out of the secretary position and started being like an assistant art buyer. And I would go on the shoot with them and see how that was. And she was just really good. Everybody was at like teaching me how to do this job, so it was cool.
Yeah, I think just be able to sit there and listen to her is a huge teaching.
Totally.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like at the time I didn't know it, but I do always refer back to her as kind of my mentor. One, she taught me everything, and 2, she's just like an honest, like decent woman that like doesn't play games, like doesn't do the politics that's in every job, which I don't. Probably could have gotten a lot further in life if I did. But you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
I
like,
get
I
it.
can't do it. I cannot. And there's so many people in our industry that just are a bunch of fake people, but whatever. I just from the get-go, like how she was like talking with people, she like with you, like she's like, all right, Mark, if you want to be we're triple bidding. If you want to be in this and we want you got to be like here. And I'd be like, you just tell them that. She's like, tell them that they want to work. You want to work with them. You got to figure out how to do it. Sometimes it won't work.
Yeah.
So just like little tidbits.
I love that.
Yeah. Just hearing how she would negotiate and like be honest with everyone, where again, bidding with people, it's like, it's not like everybody doesn't know you got a triple bid. So I'm always like, you're bidding against, and if I tell you, I'll tell you. Like I try to give everybody as much info as I can. And if I know who they're leaning towards, of course, I'm going to be like, yo, dude, we got to work this out.
Right.
Because if you don't get this job, there's going to be another job coming. My point is, like, this isn't the first rodeo that we're talking about. Like, I'd rather just be upfront. And that's coming from her, of just, that's how she was with everybody. And I felt like in the end, it may not work out for everybody and you might not get that job, but we might call you again or whatever. It's relationships. And that again was something that I learned. I worked at BBDO for 7 years. So just listening to everyone, just like, okay, we're going to call Bernstein Andreoli for this. We're going to call Stockland Martell for that. We're going to call this guy in Virginia for this. Like how they start to have all this like Rolodex of people, which it didn't make sense. But then I was like, of course that makes sense. Like you've got your go-tos.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. which I appreciate when they tell you, like, hey, they're leaning towards somebody else on this. If you
Right.
come in this area, or if they go, really, we just need a number. You're a third bid on this.
Exactly.
They know who they want on this. And then you have someone like we want you. You got to come in at this number or
Yeah.
below. And
Yeah.
so
Like
it's
if there
always
was like
nice.
a 7-day shoot with like 8 talent, I'm like, I need you to estimate it 7 ways. And then I know it's not going to be you. I'm not going to keep going and be like, dude, don't sweat it. Just give me this. You're
Yeah.
out. Like I would not do that to someone. But a lot of people, again, back to the account, people don't want to have that conversation. Like, I don't want to tell them. Like they're not. It's like they know they're not
Yeah,
going to get every job. Like
exactly.
the
I'd
fact
much
that
rather.
you're calling and they've made it to the top 3 is pretty good.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I'd much rather have the honesty. Like I had a client years ago that still shooting for them now, but it was like 2 or 3 years in a row where I literally was the third bid. And I caught on to it like year 3. So I guess it was maybe 3 or 4 years in a row. Maybe it's whatever. So they come to me one year. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. I know you're going who you're going with. There's no reason for me to spend my time doing it. Like, no, we really want you this time. We were going to try for you. So I literally changed the date on the one I did from the year before and just sent it in. I ended up getting the job because that guy, the other photographer, had evidently just worn out his welcome or whatever it was. And I ended up getting the job. But it was, they told me that they wanted me. But before that, I had to figure it out on my own. This is just, them just using me just numbers.
yeah, and that would happen a lot. And also same with if you're doing a pitch, and you
Yeah.
need someone to shoot stuff and be like, let's call Mark. And we've already called Mark like 10 times and we're like, we're gonna pay you back and give you another job. And like literally there would still be producers be like, so what? We're still calling him. And then a lot of my, there's only so many art buyers, but I've gotten to be friends with ones that we all kind of think alike, and we're usually fighting for you guys. Actually, I would say all the art buyers are usually fighting for you guys more than the agency of being like, I'm not calling him again. We've asked him to do 10 free jobs. No, we're not doing that. And that's where it's like, I feel like a lot of it gets missed where art buyers really do fight for you guys. I think a lot more than and we're just up against a machine of just like, no.
Right.
And how TV has become so important to the big agencies that print was dying 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's still around. And most of the art buyers do digital as well as print. It's kind of goes hand in hand a lot these days, but it's just
How much you seen or on your end between the stills and the motion? Are you strictly stills kind of stuff? Or are you back and
I
forth?
am. I mean, because I only really know. I mean, I know video stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm a broadcast producer by any means.
Right.
But yeah, there are a lot, not a lot, but I would say last year, well, before COVID, when I was freelancing, a lot of jobs were like stills and video, a
Yeah.
lot of them, because I think they just want to have something for social and stuff like that and behind the scenes kind of stuff. But when
Is that
that
the
happens,
majority of it now? Like
huh?
if you're shooting stills, is the more majority of that now for social?
Yeah, the stills.
Yeah.
No, I'd say 50-50.
Yeah.
Late, some of my clients, it's been all stuff for social, and then they put them, whether it's on their websites as well as social, like stuff
Right.
like that. But it's been like 50-50. It depends who the client is. If it's like food and stuff, that'll be probably social. But if it's like with people and stuff, they'll tend to use it at least for a year in some kind of print.
Right.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, like right now we're bidding on a job, and that client, it's food and people, and that will be, they did all print and social. Yeah, it'll be like everything. But it's like they want to do a buyout, and we're giving them numbers. It's like, you're gonna do a buyout with people, and like in 2 years they're gonna look out of date. I can
Yeah.
understand food shots, or product shots, but so I don't know.
So
We're
many
still talking
people
about
want
that.
that now. I have almost every job they're asking for the buyout. And like, you don't need a
Yeah,
buyout,
interesting.
but they all are asking for it for whatever reason. Everybody wants it.
I
Yeah.
think, this is again, over the years, I've had this constant annoying conversation with clients because when they shoot TV, they own the TV spot. So it was like, why don't we own the, why are we paying so much money for a year of usage or whatever?
Right.
And you constantly, because the account people can't explain it either. It's just like, you don't own it. And then you get into the copyright thing. You're like, what do you mean we don't own the copyright? You definitely don't own the copyright. And if you want the copyright, you can pay like triple the amount of what you bought it for. And they're like, what are you guys doing? It's like, because this is how they make their money. Photographers are not directors, they're not production companies. Like, you have to explain this whole thing, and they still are just like offended that they don't like own this. It's not even like their personal money, first of all, but you know what I mean? It's just like, you don't own it. And don't think that in your big TV $1 million budgets, that there's not money in there for like usage and stuff. You just don't see a line item for it. Cause that's another thing of like, when I get estimates, sometimes they want to see the usage broke out, and sometimes we're like, don't do that. Just put it all in your feed.
Yeah, I usually don't
like,
break it out unless they ask for it, because that way when they come back to me, I can go, well, here's what you paid before.
Exactly. So, or it's just a conversation of like, why are we paying usage? What's usage? It's like, to use it. Here's the fee for him to show up and actually shoot it. And then this is what it costs to use it.
Yeah, I just stare at it.
Well, this is like, come on, don't act like you don't understand this. Yeah. That's where I get a little frustrated. It's like, come on.
Especially the people you know who've been in the business for a while. Yeah. Now I get it if I've had them call before, and you can tell it's somebody who started like in the last 2 months, and it's her first job or his first job out of school, and then you go, well, what's the usage? And they go, what? Right. So nobody taught you anything. They just threw you into this job. Like, good luck, figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then I have to explain everything to them about how it works. And then they come and go, I mean, there's some, like you said, they want the copyright. I'm like, you don't need the copyright. Why do you want to pay extra? I'll do in perpetuity, and it'll cost you less, and we keep the same parameters on, where you can use it. And you can use that in perpetuity, but then I still own the image. And then someone, oh, okay, that'll work. But then like Lowe's wants to own everything, but they do not want to pay for it.
I just want to say Unilever, which is, I can say it because it's just known in the industry. I don't know how long it's been going on, but they want to own the copyrights of everything. And they basically have a roster of photographers that have agreed to this. And I'm sure every agency that signs on, the agency I've been freelancing for them right now, it's been a client for like a year or two now, but we all say the same thing. It's like, why you have to have this copyright thing? But we do find photographers, and like good photographers, but they pay for it. But we're all just like, why? You're just wasting your money.
That's the way Lowe's is. Lowe's wants to own the copyright, but they don't want to pay for it. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, so like
I agreed when I first started shooting. I started shooting for them. I agreed to that, and now I'm shooting for a different production company that's still for Lowe's, or I guess the same one. It's just I don't know what happened. The person who hired me at Lowe's has gone on, so now in the contract I've changed it, and nobody noticed. So, oh well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well.
Yeah.
It's just so silly. I mean, I just don't think they really understand it. There's just no need for it, Yeah. Really. I mean, there might be a weird instance, but generally no.
Yeah, I'm giving it to them with the same usage and letting them use it forever. Right. But
exactly,
you don't need. There's no reason to own it.
Right. Yeah. I just don't think they get it. Like it's just like, you can do whatever you want. You just don't own it.
Right.
And that's not good enough. All right.
I don't know what they think they're going to do.
I don't know either.
Yeah, or what they think I'm going to go do with it. I don't know. If they figure if they own it, then I can't go. I don't know what.
Well, and now like
sell a Lowe's image online and on an art show or something.
Right. It's like, you think about the bigger picture here. It's just, I don't know. It's weird.
So how did you go? Okay, so you're at BBDO, then you went to where? JWT?
Yeah. Just moved there for more money.
Yeah.
Work on different clients. And I was there for like 4 years. And that was really fun. One of my friends went from BBDO to JWT, and then Holly Burleson, then she was heading up that JWT. So I went over there and worked under her. and that was fun. Just, all the working at those agencies in New York was great because they were just huge clients with like huge budgets and like just ridiculous. It was a great time to be in advertising. There's all the 90s, and we traveled a lot. I went to the Olympics in Australia with visa for like free.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, because I worked on visa for, and there.
Were you shooting or were you just hanging out at the Olympics?
We just hung out.
Oh,
they gave us, these are the perks of the 90s. They, my boyfriend at the time was an art director or creative director on TV for Visa. And I was thinking about it. Visa used to just like advertise like crazy. And now they had so many cards. So there was like, whatever. And that ended up being my account when I was promoted up or whatever. It was one of my accounts, M&M's, Visa. It was all super fun accounts. There wasn't a bad account.
Did you get free M&M's?
Huh?
You get all kinds of free M&Ms?
Oh yeah, we had like a closet of M&Ms. I was there when we worked on introducing the green M&M, the girl with the boots. Yeah. Like I was also part of creating the alphabet, like all their fonts. Like I helped do that. Like it was really fun stuff.
My stepbrother actually has the green M&M tattooed on his arm.
You're kidding.
We give him so much shit because it's the green M&M in a like fireman's hat or something because he was a firefighter for a while. And like, dude, that's a chick, right? That's the female M&M. He's like, no, I'm like, yeah, it is.
He didn't know.
He didn't have a clue. And you would think you're a firefighter. He's gonna wear the fireman's hat and all. You'd get the red M&M. I would think, but for some reason he went and did the green one. So my brother and I just give him so much junk about it.
You have to. So got to go to the Olympics because, long story short, it sounds so stupid or sound so bougie. My boyfriend, his boss, the ECD, had just been in Australia shooting all the Olympic spots. So Visa had given the agency all these tickets to the Olympics with like airfare and stuff like places to stay. And so he's like, oh, I just came back from there. You guys want to go? And so my boyfriend and his partner, because they did all the spots, he's like, take your girlfriends. And we were like, yes, sir. So we went to opening ceremonies, me and my boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
We flew over on the NBC jets, first class, like they were empty.
Really?
Stayed on the NBC boats, like the ships. It was ridiculous. We would go down every day and they'd be like, what event do you want to go to? And they're like, here you go, here you go, here you go. We had like all this stuff. We went to anything we wanted. Opening ceremony. That was when Michael Phelps first started swimming. And we were just like, who is this guy? It was like insane. And then, so we were there the first week, and then his partner came in for the second half and stayed for the closing ceremony. It was ridiculous. Like, when does that happen?
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was fun. So went to JWT, stayed there. And by that point, I'd been in New York like 11 years. And I was kind of like, I'm getting tired of this place. So I switched to Publicis, which was like a brief moment. I don't even know if it's on my resume because it was just like awful.
Okay, Publicis is the correct way to pronounce that?
I say Publicis. Some people say Publicis.
I've heard I've heard it every way possible. I'm like,
even people Publicis? Work there, they're like, I don't know. Like,
that's what I was wondering. Like, I call it Publicis, but it's Publicis. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm American. I said Publicis.
I did find out that Porsche is actually Porsche.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they actually have a thing on their website that tells you how to pronounce it, or someplace. But I had a girlfriend who said she went to Germany. She worked for IBM for a minute. She was a nut job. And she came back and said, it's not Porsche. They say it's Porsche over there. I'm like, okay. Well, then I saw a thing. This is like 25, 30 years ago. And so I saw a thing in the last 2 months where they were talking about it. And they put a link to where you could go listen. And it says Porsche. And it's like, so it's Porsche.
See, we were right.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So maybe it is Publicis. I don't know.
I think it is, but we're bastardizing it.
Yes.
But I think what I didn't like about, one, I was getting kind of tired in New York, but two, I worked on L'Oreal beauty accounts. Yeah. And if you either like beauty or you don't. I found out I don't. at all.
I think that'd be very tedious.
It's very tedious, and you're dealing with like the bitchiest people in the industry, like on every level, like the hair and makeup people, the everyone was just like nasty and like attitudes. I'm like, who are you people? Like, and like, I remember I was negotiating for the talent, and they were getting paid so much money, like way more than I had ever seen on any talent thing. And because it was for the boxes, like their
Oh yeah.
hair and I mean, like crazy amounts of money. I'm like, who are these people? Like, not even like famous models. Just I'm like, and they're like, oh yeah, that's how much they get paid. But it's just everything about it was awful. The clients were awful. The account people, they just literally treated us like crap. A little short story for L'Oreal, because I have no problem saying it, because they still have the worst reputation in the business. This is a time of big portfolios, like lugging them all around.
Oh God, yes.
I'm the art buyer, so we had to go over to L'Oreal to present a bunch of photographers, and these are like fashion photographers, so they're like big ass portfolios. We had to go over there, their offices, while they're eating lunch. These are the clients, and granted, the clients are honestly, well, at that time, they were hairdressers, basically moved up into the account side of L'Oreal. Like no business school. These people literally no clue, but had a lot of power.
Right.
So I'm like carrying all these portfolios over like on racks and stuff, and we're showing them, and they're like eating their salads, and like there's no food for us. This is just how it goes. And this is like my second day there. I was like, is this how this roll? And they were just rude and nasty, and the account people were just like taking it and just being like, okay, well, I know, and blah, 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 and just being like, I was just like, wow. Left that meeting, I was like, is that how these people are? They're like, oh yeah, they're like so horrible to us. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, well, you don't even make an effort to like stomp it down. Like, again, it goes back to this account group relationship of they literally just trampled over these people.
Wow.
And they just did whatever they wanted. So a combination of that, the beauty account itself, and I was over New York, I was like, I'm out. So I only stayed there for like 6 months, I think, and then I left. So my goal was to, being from Delaware, I was hoping that I could get a job in Philly, because I didn't want to live in Delaware. There was nothing there, but Philly is 20 minutes from Wilmington. And so I was trying to get a job there, but again, I didn't realize that art buying is really only at big agencies. So Philly didn't have any agencies big enough at the time. Fast forward, I'm home in Delaware trying to find a job. The Martin agency calls with their Southern accent, and they were like, you want freelance down in Virginia? I was like, so I went down here and freelance for them, but the accent was killing me. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. So I freelanced for them right at like 2005, right after I moved out of New York. And they offered me a job. I freelanced down here for like all through the holidays, and they wanted me to freelance. But at the same time, I was talking to this agency, Tierney, in Philly, and they just won the Bear account, Bear Environmental Science, like golf course stuff. So they really needed someone to like kind of do this, because they were like, we have to do all these shoots. So it worked out. So I talked my way into there, and I stayed there in Philly for 4 years. I left Tierney, or I left the Martin agency on good terms, just saying, you know, I really want to be close to the family, and this is happening. And so worked out at Tierney, just set up a little art buying department. It's just me.
Right.
And it was great for a while because they had the money to have me on staff. And when they lost the Bear account after like 4 years, then I was just like,
yeah.
And literally what happened was my boss at the time there, the creative director, he was awesome. He's like, I'm giving you a heads up. We're losing this account. I'm going to have to let you go, but it's not going to be for like 6 months. And I really, again, like,
oh, that's nice.
Honesty, dude, don't like side, you know, just like, see ya. So that was great. And I literally called the Martin agency, and they were like, we honestly, actually, someone's leaving on maternity leave, like in a couple of weeks. Like, would you move that fast? I was like, yes. In like 2 weeks, I left Philly and moved to Virginia. And I was like, that was that.
Oh, wow. So
it worked out nicely, but I was still like, Virginia, it's really Southern. I don't know, but it's not that Southern. But for Delaware, I was like, but
still a little Southern.
It felt a little Southern.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I've been here. I moved here in 2010. So, first place I could buy a house and just,
Yeah.
and they had good clients at the time. So there was like 5 of us when we started, and now there's only 1 over there
Wow.
because they just keep thinking print is not important.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I freelance for them a lot because I'm like, because print is important, and one person can't handle all that.
Uh-huh.
But they just don't. What a lot of agencies I'm finding right now are they're looking for these unicorns of like integrated producers, but integrated producers are different at every agency I'm seeing. Meaning you can do digital, print, and
Well, that's what I
broadcast.
was going to ask you. What's the difference between like an art buyer and an integrated producer, or art
Well,
producer and integrated producer?
integrated, they want you to be able to at least do digital and print, or digital, print, and broadcast. But if you think about it, I mean, digital and print's definitely doable, but digital, print, and broadcast, one broadcast job could just that one job, you could be on it for 2 months, like literally not
Right.
in the office. You're shooting, you're casting, you're editing. And then you're gonna like, oh, let me deal with this little print job over here, and like, no, like that doesn't work. Like again, a lot of agencies I found out, well, the big ones do, but a lot of small agencies that have art buyers, they don't actually understand what art buyers do and how they don't have like a broadcast production. That producer usually has 2 assistants with that producer. So they're helping them on every job, where an art buyer never has an assistant. They're doing everything. They're usually working on 4 or 5 jobs at the same time because they're just really good at it.
Right.
Tasking. And granted, the broadcast jobs, they get more involved, but they're more involved in the post part when you're like editing and color correcting and mixing and stuff. The actual shooting, the elements are the same. You're casting, you're looking for locations, you're shooting, like it's, you know, and they get paid a lot better too. But I picked art buying the print side because I didn't want to be on the road for that long. Like, especially in New York, where the creators are like, let's go to like, we got to go to Spain for this, man. And like, we got to get there like 2 weeks early so you're really gone for like 2 months for one job. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I'd rather go for the little shoot or the week or 2, not, it was just a lot of time away.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah.
To be what? I guess you got to go to Spain, or they could go to Spain. So maybe that's the appeal.
Yeah. So you hear about all these little boondoggles, but a lot of it was like, you know, if you're on the East Coast in the wintertime and you need sunny skies, you're either going to go south or out west. And I've been in rooms where the creators are like, well, I think we should think about something sunny. Like literally just like, where can we go? That was
I lost a gig because the client wanted to shoot in LA. So I was one of the favorites. I came, and the photographer in LA was over budget by a lot for what I'd been told the budget was, but they just wanted to shoot in LA.
Yep.
So
I mean, yeah. So
I can shoot in LA. I'll shoot in LA as a local, but this other photographer, she was already out there, and so they just went ahead and did it.
But yeah, that does happen, whether it's a client or a creative. Like if there's a friend or a location involved that they can kind of finagle into the job, that will happen. Not as much now, but definitely back in the day when it was just like, let's do whatever we want. But I have to say, training I would say also working at BBDO was a great training ground, because I would say any New York agency or any big city agency, because I never got home before 8 or 9 on most nights, and worked a lot of weekends because we were pitching new business, but it was fun. Like it didn't matter.
Right.
But those kind of places, you're putting in the hours, but it was really fun. But it set you up to, like, when I moved down to Virginia, like they were out at like 5 and they were like, this is like, this is really, I'm like, are you kidding me? Stop it. And like, you know, of course they pitch and stuff, new business, but BBDO and JWT, they were just all about it. And that's why they were like agency of the year and all that stuff, because they literally were just nonstop of looking for new business, and so we would have to come in on the weekends. But like I said, it was fun, and I didn't know any different. So when I left and went to like Philly and smaller cities, you realize, of course, it reflects like the city itself, but also you can just deal with anything because you've dealt with big clients, big budgets, no big budgets, like crazy, just weirdness. You kind of just went through the gamut of those agencies, which I think is good.
Oh yeah, I think it definitely prepared you for anything.
I think so. Yeah.
So what do you remember the biggest, like the first time you did a big job? Do you remember what that was, or just showing up on set? Was it, or were they all, because you started off with like the magazines, the people and us, it was everything from that point forward, just going,
No, I mean, there were definitely some big jobs, but I never had, I mean, this would kind of tie in when you were saying, think of something, I was trying to think of something weird and funny that happened. I'm sure there was, but my memory's horrible. But this kind of goes into like it would have been my coolest job too. It was in Spain. And long story short, it was, the client was Smirnoff vodka. This is JWT. And the creatives wanted to do a running of the bulls ad. And, like down the cobblestone streets. And they're like, like the Pamplona. And so this is actually really good. So I had to estimate it, look into estimate it. Like we could have done it on a back lot, believe it or not, in LA. There was a way to do it. And I estimated that. And then I estimated, the photographer was Vincent Dixon, who I love. And the other way was like in Spain. So we ran the numbers and it was actually way like 40 grand cheaper to go to Spain.
Really?
Yeah. So we went, and it was like this little town. I can't think, it was outside of Bilbao, like an hour, like northern Spain. And it was like this 14th century village that was surrounded by like a wall. Cool. Super cool. So, but what was cool about it was they thought we were like shooting a movie, like, cause literally like this little town was like just in this like little village, and it's beautiful. And so we had to hire interpreters because we didn't speak any Spanish. And every day, and what also turned out, so the bulls, we were like getting pictures sent to, we couldn't find bulls, but the cows over there look like American bulls. Really? Weirdly, this kind of cow. So they're like sending us pictures to the States of like, we're like, this gotta look real. And like, we're like, oh my God, that totally will work. So we had like real bulls, like coming in from like down the road to some farm or something. And we hired a bunch of townspeople to be the guys running down the cobblestones. So like literally like every morning the whole town was like out there like speaking Spanish, like coming up and talking to us, and we'd be like, just like being so funny. And they just had a blast because they participated in it, and the bulls were like chasing out, or the cows were chasing out in the cobblestone streets, and they run by and be like, okay, let's do it again, and like take them back, and like.
How long did it take to reset that, to get all the cows?
Not that. To be honest, I think we did it like 4 times. It wasn't as long as you think, because it literally was like a narrow, like one of those old little road, like streets.
Did you have a place at the end where the cows just had to stop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like all thought out, and like with not a very big crew. Granted, it still was like a photography crew. We didn't have like a big production company, so it was all of us kind of managing it. And then at night, they invited us, like we met the mayor of the town, and they all make their own wine, and they invited us to their houses, and it was just like really cool. That was my most memorable shoot, just because it was so different, and being in a different country, and they were all so welcoming, and they all got to be a part of it, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I did a shoot one time where everybody on set it was for Hispanic magazine, and everybody on set was speaking Spanish. And luckily my assistant, he's Mexican. His family came from Mexico, and they live in San Diego. And so he's talking to the hairstylist or whatever, and they're talking, and I'm like, all right, dude, what are you saying? What are you guys talking about? He looked at me and he goes, don't worry about it, man. Unless you hear the word gringo, you're all right. He said,
hilarious.
I said, all right. And then I did another one. We were down in Miami, And my assistant is Cuban, but she looks like she's white. So we're shooting, and we go into this person. They're like some Telemundo celebrity or something. So we go into the house, and everybody's talking. And I told her, I was like, "Don't say a word. Just listen, and then tell me what they're saying, and then we'll let them know that you can speak Spanish." So she's sitting there and she's listening. And I was like, "What are they saying?" She goes, "They're afraid we're going to completely ruin all their furniture and mess it all up."
I love it.
All right. Well, now tell them that we're going to take good care of everything and nothing's going to get mixed up. And when she started speaking, you just saw their mouths just go,
like,
oh God. Yeah.
Like Seinfeld when Elaine goes into the
into the nail salon. Yeah, with George's dad. Yes. That's great.
Oh my God, that's amazing. You have like a little secret weapon in your assistant. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Although she now she's has like 3 kids, and so she decided that she's like, I can't wait to like someday be able to go and assist you again. I'm like, it's probably gonna be a while, because her partner, I don't know what her partner does. She owned some company, then sold it, and then started another one. And so Elizabeth, my old assistant, she doesn't have to work, but she's got these 3 kids she's got to take care of. And then my youngest daughter goes and helps her babysit, and she's just like, these boys, and they're all boys.
Oh my God.
She's like, they're crazy. She goes, but they're not nearly as crazy as this one little girl she babysits for occasionally. Yeah. So I don't know how she does it, but she gets paid decent. She gets paid better than my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter's making like $8.50 an hour working at some place, and my youngest is making between 12 and 20, depending on who she babysits for.
That's hilarious.
My oldest only changed. I was like, why don't you just babysit? She goes, because I got to have something to put on a resume other than I'm a babysitter. I'm like,
I like how they're both thinking though. One's got the money angle, the other one's like, but I need like good things.
Yeah, she's about to graduate she has another year until she graduates from college. So she's trying to come up with some stuff to have a resume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What does she want to do you know?
I don't know. She thinks she possibly wants to be like an event planner.
Oh.
But she's getting a degree. She started off with criminal justice, then it changed to communications with criminal justice as a minor. So I think if she hadn't changed, she could have gotten out in a semester early, but she changed. So she's going to stay there she wants to just get out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So she's trying to figure it out, either event planning, or Ryan Seacrest has a foundation, and they have a thing at the Children's Hospital here where they do stuff. So she's trying to intern there and see if she's into that. And
that's a good idea.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah.
That could be stressful, event planning.
Yeah. And of course, she wants to do like the big celebrity kind of event. She doesn't want to like plan your anniversary party at the hotel.
Big time.
Yes. She wants to she's like the Oscar after party, I think, this kind of stuff.
Do it.
Yep.
Get it done.
Yeah. So, okay, you've worked with a ton of photographers, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Tell me a range of personalities and photographers. I want to know, do you have like the diva dude? Like, you've heard like Stephen Meisel, he doesn't come in and speak to anybody. He shoots underneath a thing where he's, a cape or some kind of crap and doesn't say a word to anybody. And then you have the people who just come in, they're just talking friendly to everybody. Have you had that kind of a range, or is there a kind of set?
I've been pretty fortunate to have pretty cool, nice, like easygoing photographers. There was one diva girl photographer. I won't say her name, but it was like kind of jarring because I had never, everyone's just happy to be hired and working and, and this photographer is in New York, was just all about like running her show, like kind of wanting to shoot what she wanted. And this was still early on in my career, so I wasn't even so sure how to like handle this, because I was like, you usually do what we ask you to do. We talk about it, but you ultimately do what we want. Whereas she wanted to do what she wanted first and then get to our stuff. And I was like, so much so I had to call her rep.
Oh, wow.
Get her down to the set because nothing was working. It all worked out after her rep had to come in and talk to her. It was just ridiculous. meaning like we wouldn't even be here if we
Right.
didn't think you're going to shoot what we wanted you to shoot. So that was the only weirdness.
I heard David
Um,
LaChapelle did that to J.C. Penney.
huh?
I heard David LaChapelle did it to J.C. Penney.
Well, again, David LaChapelle.
Why would J.C. Penney hire David LaChapelle? Evidently, he sent everybody off set. He was like, they were trying to tell him, he's like, you hired me. I'm shooting this the way I want to shoot it. You can all go. And
See,
I'll
that's
show it to you.
where it's like, I don't want to hire you. I don't, my friends that are art buyers, we all think like, of course, if your client really like, I want that guy, but I honestly would probably be the first to have a sidebar conversation being like, you actually don't want that guy. One, he's a total dick. Two, his work is, it's nice. I was never a fan of his, so you're probably talking to the wrong person, but also I just feel like I'd rather give my money to people that are appreciating us hiring them and not being like a total dick.
I always figured every job could be your last, because it's not as if this industry is so big. And I mean, it's big, but the way word travels, it's not as if I can go on set and being a complete ass to you and somebody, I mean, I could be shooting down in Miami and somebody in New York will know about it before the end of the week.
Absolutely.
And I always figured that way that could take care of you right there.
Yeah.
And you're just shooting, you know, like $500 a day jobs, or, you know,
I would agree. I also think like, just if you've really done some, like if someone's really like not good, like it'll go like where producers would be like you're on a list of like, you're not, nope. Nope.
Yeah, I believe it.
Just because there's so many other people out there that it's worth working for or working with and working for. And it's just like, no, at least that's how I've always been. Again, like even when you're bidding really top level guys, but you know, they're kind of jerky. And it's just like, but this guy in the B level is exactly the same. He's awesome. Like I will have those conversations. It may not always work.
Well, yeah.
But then, and if it doesn't work and we get on the set and they're like, this guy's a dick. It's like, well, I told you that. But yeah, he takes good pictures, but your shoot is not going to be all like, la, la, la.
Right.
Because he's an asshole.
I was at Haynes for a meeting one time, and the guy I was meeting with was looking at my book. He's like, I really like your work. He said, but I'm going to tell you straight up, right now, they are star fucking. And they just did, you know, a shoot with this photographer in New York, who at the time was one of the top, probably like 5, 6 guys in the business. And he said, and, you know, let me show you what he shot for us. And he went back and got it. And he came back with this 11x14 shot on black sweep with a girl in black boy shorts sitting on the ground, just like this. And he said, they paid like 30 grand for that one image. I think is what it was. And I looked at him and was like, dude, I've done that for 15. I would have done it just as well as that. I promise you. Because he was saying his studio was dirty and disgusting. And, you know, it was, but then again, it's a guy from Greensboro, North Carolina at Haynes who goes to New York. And maybe it's his first time in a New York studio and just thought it was nasty to begin with. But at the same time, he was like, maybe some hang tags. We can probably get you in here to shoot some hang tags and that kind of thing. But then, of course, at the time this was happening into my career, everybody I met who liked what I did and wanted to use me was fired or left within the next 3 months. Yeah, this dude literally like 2 months later quit the job and went on someplace else. I went like that for about a year or two, where everybody that liked me was just like, and then they either just left or something happened to the company.
That sucks, because that does help. I mean, like, again, like the connections of like, I would rather call like you and know I'm going to get a good shoot and you're going to be good and like everything's done and not have to even worry about it. Like those are the relationships you want to get with agencies. And we have a few, well, when I worked at Martin, there was a few local photographers and even not local. And again, it's just like, it's peace of mind for everybody. Like we know how much it is. We know you're going to do a good job. You know what they want, you know, the look and feel. Like, why do we have to make this any more difficult than it
I think it's good for everybody. I mean, I have clients like that I know they're going to go with me every year, every shoot. They're coming to me because they like the way it works. And I think it's just, I've got one, it's a small thing, but it's like for 20 something years, I've been shooting for them to the point where half the time they don't even show up on set.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm getting my, hold on, I gotta get my plug. My computer is dying. What was the other thing you asked? Okay. Watch out, puppies. Move it. I was gonna say, the one great celebrity photographer that was great and super nice is Martin Scholler.
Really?
Yeah. Not a dick, super nice.
That's good to hear.
I mean, you know, he shoots, and I actually got a close-up of, sure, so I have one. I've never asked.
A close-up of what?
You know how he does the close-up, Martin Scholler close-ups? Yeah. He took my picture. I've never asked a photographer ever, and that's the only time, because he was my favorite photographer, and we hired him for looking for a plug. Let me get back over here. For Manpower, have you ever heard of that? It's like staffing services, and they wanted to hire him to shoot these up close portraits, and
we did. Cool.
And he was just like the nicest guy. I mean, considering all the celebrities he shoots, and I've worked with celebrity photographers, and they're usually celebrities themselves.
Right.
And he was like the nicest guy ever. Like, just the sweetest. And everyone I know his reps, and like all my friends that have shot with him, I was like, was it just me, or was it, he's pretty awesome? They're like, no, he's awesome. He's just a good guy. Like, he could be a dick, but he's not. Nice guy. Awesome.
That's amazing. I have a friend who's a photographer, and he was assisting a guy out in LA, and he said, I think it was LA, it could have been New York, but he was assisting one of like the biggest photographers at the time. And he said the client came in, and he's standing there. It's like his first like 2 weeks there on the job or something. And the clients come in and go, hey, where's so-and-so? And he's like, he's up in his office. I think he'll be down in a minute. He said, all of a sudden, all the lights in the studio went out. A spotlight came on, because the office was upstairs, and there was like a spiral staircase that came down. The spotlight comes on, and the photographer comes out of his office and walks down the spiral staircase.
Stop it.
He said it was the most dramatic entrance I've ever seen. It was all this one photographer had it all set up.
Stop it. That's hilarious. Oh my God. Woo.
It was very funny.
Yeah, I have to say, really, I was fortunate. I felt like I had pretty good photographers. They were all like there to like get the job done. And I don't really think, if anything, it would have been like celebrity talent, just being annoying and late and like doing their thing with their people. And just like, where it's just like, I'm not impressed by that. There are some celebrities that would impress me for sure. But the ones that I was just like, I don't care. Can we just get this done? Like, why?
Yeah, that's the way I'm around. I'm going to say 99% of celebrities.
Right. Yeah.
I figured you just got a cool job, and more people know who you are, but
right.
You got a lot more money than me. But otherwise, that doesn't mean you're a good person or a shitty person. It just means we'll see. We'll figure that out depending on how you treat me and everybody else on the crew. We'll figure out how good of a person you are. There are a few that I'd be like, like if Martin Scorsese showed up, I'd be like, hi.
I agree. Yes. But I'm like you. Most of them, you're like,
yeah.
You're just, and when they're nice, it's like almost surprising, because you're assuming they're just going to be like high maintenance and just like, what now? What?
I've never really understood the whole going up to a celebrity just to say something. Like I passed Tom Selleck in New York, like right when he was really big at the time. And I'm walking to dinner someplace, and it was literally just the two of us down this little neighborhood street. And I passed by, and I was like, oh, there's Tom Selleck. But there was not a thought in my mind to stop him.
Right.
And, oh my God, you're Tom Selleck. Hey, and because I wouldn't do that to anybody else. So I'm going to stop this dude just because he's Tom Selleck.
Yeah, I agree.
Or whoever it is.
What? Like, okay, bye.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, if we ended up sitting beside each other or something someplace, I might turn around and say, hey, cool TV show.
Talking you.
Yeah. Love you on Friends.
Remember you on Friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you did the Magnum PI thing, but let's talk about Friends.
Yeah. You'd be like, all right.
Yeah. Wylie, thank you. This has been cool. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Me too.
Yeah, you got great stories.
Yeah, it's been a fun, it's my only job I've ever had. And I think that's, then when we're in this business, it's nice to say it's been a fun job, like to be able to travel and work around fun stuff and then see it in the magazines. Like that's always
Oh yeah.
for a job that I never even knew existed. It worked out well. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you just kind of rolled right into where you were supposed to be.
I think so. Yeah. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, that's
It's
very
been good.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.